First, is it OK for Nigel Farage to earn more than £500,000 from a second job? 0207 862 2222 is the number to get your calls in now. Kevin, your paper, The Mirror, has highlighted the fact that the Reform UK leader has raked in almost £190,000 promoting gold bullion since becoming an MP for Clacton earlier this year. Now, according to his register of interest, Farage has worked a maximum of 4 hours a month as a brand ambassador for the gold investment firm. Not a bad amount, actually, to get for 4 hours work. Direct bullion since July, along with TV, newspaper and social media work, as well as 2 rental properties and speeches. He's earned more than £570,000 in just 6 months, and that is on top of his £91,000 a year MP salary. Now, MPs are allowed to take on second jobs, but Farage has been accused of debasing the office and privilege of being an MP with his so-called gold-plated side hustle. Is that fair criticism, Kevin?
Yes, I don't think he should be a super salesman for gold and be an MP. And this whole issue of second jobs has to be addressed. Labour said it would address them. Let's see, because there are some Labour MPs who have second jobs, tends to be Conservatives. And of course, Nigel Farage is coming in as one of the big high earners. They're elected to represent us, not to have these side hustles where it can create conflicts of interest.
But hold on, would it be different?
I don't object actually to GB News paying him all that money, but I do object to people promoting products or advising companies that are nothing to do with how they were before. If you have a family, just say you have a family farm, or you're a doctor and you want to keep your hand in.
What I was going to ask.
If you want to hand it, I see those are exceptions. But I think in general, when you become an MP, you decide to stand for election, you become an MP, you should represent the interests of the people who elect you rather than using your position to make a load of cash and fill your bank account.
But interestingly, you're fine with GB News when actually that is using his position, is it not? Would he have that position?
But that would be, he would go to political meetings as an MP and you would address the country. If you go on TV, that's just an extension of that. That's why I don't object to that. It's the other jobs they do that I think should be banned, quite frankly banned. Some jobs are banned already. You can't lobby ministers. You're not allowed to do that, and in fact MPs have lost their jobs because of that in the past. But I think when you're going on to companies, it creates a conflict of interest. Who, when it comes out of the crunch, will you represent? Will you represent your constituents or the people who are paying you?
What's the conflict of interest for selling gold bullion with his role as an MP?
Because it's an economic choice. That's why you're saying gold is good for you now. I know gold has gone up in value, but it can also fall. And I don't think you should be. Would you be happy for him selling Dettol or bleach or other products?
It's selling anything.
That's what he is. Yeah, exactly.
He's selling his opinion on GB News. You don't have an issue.
He's
with
flogging
that.
goods.
He's selling his services as a landlord with his rental properties. I just find it a little bit odd that you're fixated on this gold bullion issue, but you're quite relaxed about the GB News job. I think of all of his jobs, that's probably the most contentious. I think it's interesting that we live in a world where the leader of a political party has a show on a channel every night of the week. I think that is perhaps worthy of debate and something to think about. But the rest of his jobs, I don't have a problem with at all. And I think we've got this really weird attitude in the UK towards people that make lots of money as if they're doing something wrong or something illegal or there's something fishy going on. When I hear Nigel Farage has earned £500,000 from a second job, I think, good for him. How did you do it?
I wonder, though, about the relatable issue. Should MPs be able to relate closely to their constituents? How many people in Clacton are investing in gold? You know, how many people in Clacton are making over £1 million a year? Is that a problem?
How many people in Clacton voted for Nigel Farage at the last election? The majority of people in Clacton. I think he's very much loved in his constituency. It's all about whether or not this impacts his day-to-day job as an MP. And all of the evidence that I have seen of the Reform MPs and their constituencies, whether it's Rupert Lowe whether it's Nigel Farage, is that they're very much loved and they are seen to be good constituency MPs.
Well, he was voted in. You can laugh, but he was voted in.
I know, but that's just saying Reform MPs. I was about to point out, you could argue the same about Lib Dems, SNP,
Of course you could, but we're talking about Nigel Farage.
I know, but you were given a plug for the Reform Party.
Not
there.
at all.
The whole question of relatability, you're quite right. That's another issue about how wealthy can you be in your lifestyle. Some can be relatable, some won't be relatable. But I think this whole idea of MPs using Parliament to get second jobs, which would he be a good...
Has he done that here?
Would he be a brand ambassador if he wasn't an MP?
Well, he was a very well-known political character even when he wasn't an MP. So I don't know, but don't go anywhere because we're taking your calls on this after the break. Is it okay for Nigel Farage to earn more than £500,000 from a second job? That's in the first 6 months. And later, should the youth intervene? What's your view on this one?
Hello, Storm.
Hi there.
Happy New Year. I'm Panel. Happy New Year and healthy New Year to you all.
And to you.
Yes, if he's not neglecting his constituency, I've said this on the programme before, Storm. You was, lucky to put me on, and I tell you the truth as I always will. They don't. The ones in the constituency, they got their little PAs and they run the show. They tell you if you couldn't see him or not. He's too busy. I said, oh, all right, I'll put my name down. Months later, I phoned him up. Oh, yeah, you really need people in the constituency different to the ones on front rows and God knows what, because they are not doing their job properly. They're not giving their problems to people, and people are very desperate.
But do you believe, Diane, do you believe you can broadcast nightly on a channel and earn £500,000 plus some from other jobs and still be providing the kind of care that the people of Clacton want and need?
I think Nigel Farage would give I didn't vote for him at all, but I think that he would give. I think if he was really desperate and he wanted to see him for a very big problem that you had, I think he would see you. Oh. And I think he would do his best for you, and I really, really do. These MPs now, they want to, not all of them, they give a lot to their constituency. The one was, I won't mention his name because, like I said, I'll have a...
You've called before about him, Diane. Yeah, I remember.
I'll have a £500 fine if I get in contact with anybody. That's why I don't phone you and mention his name. I've done nothing wrong. My daughter never seen an MP. She had a terrible problem. You've never seen her. And all they can do now is have the police on me, and I've done nothing wrong.
Diane, it must be very frustrating not to be able to see your MP. I think there was a bit of controversy about how much time that Nigel Farage was spending in Clacton at the beginning.
He seemed to be in the US more often, but he does go sometimes. In fairness to him, but I think the relatability, how much you earn, is an issue. But I think another issue.
But he's a man of the people. He likes to go for a pint and have a cigarette outside. Joanne from Greater Manchester, what's your view on this?
Hi. I don't believe for 1 second that he should be doing a second job. He hasn't got the need nor the necessity. The working class people generally have to work a second job just to keep up with the pace of living, but he doesn't need it at all.
Okay, and but is the need important? Because I wonder actually whether what we want is professionals as MPs. We want smart people in the House of Commons. Would you be as objecting to a second job if it was, for example, if he was a nurse or if he was a doctor and worked for the NHS? Would you say absolutely not?
Absolutely not. It's not necessary in his case. He doesn't need to be doing it. He needs to concentrate on working as an MP, not as doing something else on the side. It's taking away his concentration.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much his bills are. Maybe he does need to take us on a second job. Maybe £90,000 just isn't enough.
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure Nigel has an expensive lifestyle. But one of the things I actually found the most interesting from the Daily Mail article is that in addition to Nigel Farage's earnings, he's received gifts, donations and hospitality worth almost £60,000 in the last 6 months. Now, I think, if I remember correctly, when Labour were getting in trouble over gifts and hospitality, people going to Taylor Swift concerts. I'm pretty sure Nigel was one of those MPs criticising Labour. So I think this is actually probably the most interesting thing.
But was the criticism that it's quite meta, this, was the criticism not necessarily for taking the Taylor Swift tickets or the clothes? The criticism was the fact that Labour had quite strongly criticised Conservative MPs for taking so many donations when actually they were doing the same, essentially. I'm not...
There was some of that, but I do think if you should buy your own suits and your glasses,
okay.
I think. But when he goes to the US, he has his trips paid. I think one... tech billionaire in Thailand paid for one trip. Some guy who had a conviction for fraud paid for another one. I think Nigel Farage should pay for his own trips unless he declares whoever he's going to speak to has paid for it.
Joan, thank you very much for your call. Vicky from Southport, is it okay to have a second job if you're an MP?
Well, yes, I don't mind the second job business. I'm just referring to the Nigel Farage business because I think he's been made a scapegoat. I mean, he's good at his job. There's no doubt in that. He speaks the truth, which is rare. And I don't see a problem with him having another job if he wants the money or whatever it's for. It doesn't bother me as long as he's doing his job. And I think he does a great job. They're using him as a scapegoat.
Vicky, are you giving him a free pass? Have you criticised other MPs? Do you think it was all right for Keir Starmer to have his suits and glasses bought and give him free tickets? Was that okay?
That's not working. That's freebies. That's a different kettle of fish altogether.
How is promoting gold working?
Oh, come on, please. You're just picking up on that. It's just
No, quite a large amount of his second-hand income, if you like, the £570,000+, £190,000 of that he got from promoting gold investments. And he says that it only took him a maximum of 4 hours a month. Is that hard work? Is that the same as a nurse or a fireman or a policeman? Is that the same level of work?
It doesn't contemplate because it's not a job. It's a second job. His work, per se, is an MP, and his work, as you say, his work ethic is for MP.
But Vicky,
and speaking the truth, and he does.
But just to be very clear, you would be opposed to his freebies, so you'd be opposed to the fact that he gets free tickets to America and that sort of thing, free tickets to concerts.
It depends on the job. If it's to do with the job, no. Those freebies for you know who were given as
they all get them.
No, well, whatever. It's his position. It shouldn't happen.
Vicky, I think you're looking at it like this. I think I'm criticising them all across the parties. I think you're giving somebody a free pass because you like them, and that person is Nigel Farage.
Vicky makes the point that if they are doing their job and they're doing their job to the standard that their constituents are happy, what difference does it make? Vicky, thank you very much for your call. Thanks for all your calls on this.